Everybody, welcome back to the Hot Mic Show. I'm Bill Whittle, and we're here with our guest AWR Hawkins from Breitbart.com. Now, we've said some pretty harsh things about some of the people involved in this Women's March. Dana Lash had a few things to say in response to the response of the response of the response. And she talked about some of the people that were behind the Women's March and the organizers of the Women's March. So let's have a quick look at that to set the stage for what we're about to talk about here, the second half.
Story I have yet to see the media cover: the violent agenda of the men behind these Women's March organizers. They include Islamic extremist Siraj Wahhaj, race riot insider Al Sharpton, and this man.
We'll tear this goddamn country up.
Yep, that's Louis Farrakhan, a religious terrorist whose highlight reel of bigoted beliefs includes, quote, Hitler was a very great man, end quote. This is the man behind the so-called peaceful, tolerant, and nonviolent Women's March organizers. The Charlie to their anarchist angels, father of the modern violent left, or Daddy Farrakhan.
Our brother, our leader, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Like the KKK, Farrakhan is an anti-Semite who incites hatred against Jewish people by spreading conspiracies. Like ISIS, he has preached that homosexuality is... Like a racist, he's incited division with statements like, quote, the white man is our mortal enemy, end quote.
Let's just hold it right there for a second. Now, those are the people behind the Women's March, and back in January, the women who marched had another Women's March and protested Donald Trump, no doubt. And I don't want you to get the wrong impression of all these people, and I won't want you to think they're all just horrible monsters like Louis Farrakhan. So let's talk about somebody who spoke at the Women's March back in January, a woman named Donna Halton. And looks like they're going to make a movie about her. It's called A Little Piece of Light. They make it Rosario Dawson to play her. And here's the blurb about the Hollywood Reporter story on the movie they're going to make about this woman who spoke at the Women's March back in January. Hilton, whose beauty became her curse in a life of sexual abuse, was later arrested at age 19 when she was a high school track star as a result of her participation in the kidnapping and murder of a Rikers Island real estate agent. She was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison and was put in solitary confinement, where she once again would see that little piece of light. This time, however, it grew to mean something very different. Once out of prison in 2012, she would look for that little piece of light in others and eventually found her calling. She began fighting for the rights of women alongside her mother figure and women's rights activist, author Eve Ensler, who wrote the Vagina Monologues. What an uplifting and inspiring story that is. Certainly the kind of person you might want to have being a speaker at one of your marches back in January by the same group that marched just this last weekend. Now, there's one little thing that they left out of that biography of the movie they want to make called A Little Piece of Light about Donna Halton. And let me just give you a couple of the little details that got left out of that little piece. That little off-the-cuff remark about, oh, yeah, by the way, she was in jail looking for that little piece of light because she murdered somebody. In 1985, Hilton, along with 3 men and 3 other women, kidnapped 62-year-old real estate broker Thomas Vigliarolo and held him for ransom before eventually killing him. Hilton and her comrades starved, burned, and tortured Vigliarolo. They forcibly sodomized him with a 3-foot steel pipe. As noted in 1995 Psychology Today article, when asked about forcibly sodomizing the victim with the steel pole, one of Hilton's accomplices replied he was a homo anyway. They'd squeeze the victim's testicles with a pair of pliers. They'd beat him, burn him. New York City detective William Sperling told Psychology Today, I couldn't believe this girl, who was so intelligent and so nice looking, could be so unemotional about what she was telling me she and her friend had done. That's the woman that the Women's March brought up to be a featured speaker back in January. This is somebody that the left holds up as an example of the kind of response to the cruelty of the system. A poor black woman simply taken off the streets and put in prison looking for a little piece of light, the same way that we execute just black people walking down the street and so on. She sodomized a 62-year-old man with a 3-foot steel pipe, burned him, tortured him 4 days, asked for $400,000 in ransom money after he was dead. And this is the kind of person, AWR, I hope you're still there after one of these ransom mine. This is the kind of person that they lionize, and the kind of person they invite to their events, and the kind of people they hold up as just real examples of how terrible the American system is.
I don't know much about those people. I just know that they're not the kind of people I would lionize, that's for sure. Makes sense that the left would do it.
Well, how about some of these people? Dr. Hawkins, you've heard some of these names. Louis Farrakhan, as we heard from Dana Lash. How about Bill Ayers, domestic terrorist Bill Ayers, who wished he could have blown up more people, killed people, set up bombs. Barack Obama got his political career started in Bill Ayers' living rooms. What about Mumia Abdul-Jabbar, famous cop killer? What about Tookie Williams? Remember him? He killed people who were begging for their lives, and the left prayed for him to get off of death row, and all the Black Panthers murderers and all the rest. Dr. Hawkins, we got about a minute left. What is it about these people that makes it so routinely common that the people they lionize, the people they invite to their speaking events, the people that they bow down and worship and fetishize are murderous, terrorists, communists who murdered millions of their own people, Mao, Che, Castro? What is it about these brutal, vicious murderers that the left likes so much?
No, I don't know. You know, the leftism in general is given to fascism. And I know that sounds strange because the left spends their whole time calling the right fascist. The left, though they don't understand the terms they use, the left is given to fascism, which is a combination of politics and religion. It's your all in all. And usually with the fascist, you can't tell where politics end and where religion starts, or vice versa. It's easy to see that in Islamofascism. It was easy to see that during Japanese fascism in World War II, or the Nazis in World War II. But you can find it also right now. If you look at some of these marchers, if you listen to some of their speeches, if you look at some of the people that motivate them, fascism is a general tenet of the left. And as standard practice with them, what they do is they accuse their enemies of possessing the very beliefs they possess. So that's always a lesson. If the left calls you a fascist, it probably means you are dealing with a fascist in the person from the left who is speaking to you.
Ditto for racist and homophobe and misogynist and all the rest. Dr. Hawkins, thank you very much for joining us. You can find AWR Hawkins' work over at Breitbart.com. He's a terrific guy, and we hope to have you back again real soon.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Good to have you. That's it, folks. That's it for today. They're mean, horrible, rotten people. They fetishize murderers and terrorists and all the rest. They look for muscle. He's right about fascists. They call people fascists because that's what they are. By the way, left-wingers, fascist comes from the word fascici. It means a bundle of sticks. It's a Latin term, and a bundle of sticks is a collective. So you're the fascist, whether you even realize it or not. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow on Bill Whittle's Hot Mic.